What's a critically acclaimed movie that you think is a crock of shit? Good Hunting. It's practically fixed mindset propaganda. Oh man? So this edgelord with super antisocial tendencies gets away with acting like a jackass all the time, and he's smart. He's super smart and he just knows what the fuck ever. He knows so many things that the nerds at a top college just invite him in and are like, "You, guy, without any fucking track record whatsoever, come be our supreme need," and everybody including Robin Williams claps. That movie is genuinely damaging to the perception of how much hard work it takes to convert intelligence into success. Field of Dreams won 3 Oscars, including Best Picture. The movie has a really dumb plot. A schizophrenic farmer builds a baseball field and some ghosts come out to play ball. WTF. On top of that, this movie is always at the top of the list for best baseball movies of all time. It's barely even a baseball movie. It's a slow-burning ghost story with a light baseball theme. It's not a baseball movie. It's like if someone made a movie while whispering baseball from another room. It has the essence of baseball. Off the top of my head, I'd give it's considered 1, but then again for years I had heard how good it was, but Gangs of New York, I never watched it until last year for a college course. It was an absolutely awful movie. The Godfather. I tried watching it recently on a flight. I fell asleep within 30 minutes. Even more recently. Mother. I get the whole story, symbolic metaphors, whatever, but I still thought it was just an odd and confusing film. Unamused face, woman shrugging. I really don't get the appeal of the road. It's okay. People are fucking gaga over it. I think because of the popularity of No Country for Old Men, when the book was published it caught a wave of Cormac McCarthy popularity, and liking the movie made people feel like they were part of something. But I just don't think it's that great. Not a crock of shit, but disproportionate quality to acclaim ratio. Portrait of a Lady on Fire. You don't know this woman at all. You've spent less than 2 weeks walking on the beach together and suddenly she's the love of your life? If she wasn't hot, the movie wouldn't have happened. It's worse than Titanic. It was a beautiful movie, but the romance part was a complete miss for me and I didn't feel anything at the end. Most of Jordan Peele's stuff. Everything is supposed to be this brilliant imagery, when none of it really matters. The character is the grandson of the first person ever filmed, which was a black guy on a horse. Okay. Cool. So what? Why is that supposed to be brilliant? Hands Across America was a thing in the 80s. Okay. So what? I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in the world unique enough and with a high enough IQ to see that Avatar is just Dances with Wolves in space. Avatar just Pocahontas in space. Avatar just Ferngully in space. Avatar no cultural impact. Avatar bad. No one else has ever said this because they aren't on my same level of intellect. I just saw the original Jurassic Park for the first time last week, and it was one of the most boring, predictable movies I've ever seen. The characters have zero personality apart from the bad guy who dies halfway through anyway, and the dinosaur scenes aren't nearly enough to carry the movie. Also, the child actors were bad. I hated Lawrence of Arabia. Its story is so insanely SLOW and the ending just kind of ended, then cut back to the funeral service from the beginning. I don't understand at all why it's so highly acclaimed. Wide panoramas of desert sand for hours is not my idea of great filmmaking. Crash was so bad. The chokehold this had on people dissipated fairly quickly once it won Best Picture, but I just wanted on the record that I was a hater from the start. That was always an awful reductive puerile film and it just took an entire awards season circuit for the fog to lift. American Psycho sucked emo. It was basically an elementary school jers, but it was all a dream. Story but with more adult subject matter. Fucking dumb. Great performance by Bale and watching Jared Leto get murdered was somewhat satisfying, but outside of that I don't get the hype. Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was the Emperor's New Clothes Earl. I swear that nobody who saw it knew WTF was going on in that movie but was afraid to say it lest they seem unsophisticated, and minutes into the film and my head was exploding. The Revenant was just Leo grunting his way to an Oscar. Tom Hardy was the only one who seemed to know how ridiculous it was and had fun. I was pulled out of the movie every time a character swam or waded through ice water with zero concerns or negative effects. I don't know if it's critically acclaimed, but Hereditary was just so underwhelming. Like when you feel a sneeze that just won't come. Felt that way about Sinister as well. They were both so hyped and the big payoffs were a car crash and a lipstick demon. The Mexican movie Roma by Alfonso Cuarón, apparently, he got a 7 minutes round of applause in an Italian film festival for this particular piece. It's literally a black and white film about a maid with indigenous roots. I'll never understand film critics. Natural-born killers. I wanted to leave the theater because it was so bad but decided to stay to see how it ended. That was a mistake because that movie sucked. I have a friend who thinks that it's one of the best movies of all time. It's in his top 5. I mean, I flatly disagree with film, video game, etc. critics constantly due to them having vested conflicts of interest. So film critics typically aren't a good metric compared to the consumer. Certain award ceremonies are also highly advertised or controlled. The Irishman. Honestly can't understand where those that think it's brilliant are coming from. Every time I've tried to watch it I just think it's people we're familiar with who have previously done great things, therefore The Irishman must also be great. Us. Movie was the furthest from scary and the concept was just goofy. As soon as the other started to speak in that unintentionally hilarious heavy smoker voice it was over for me. I couldn't believe this was the dude who made Get Out, Pirates. Everyone talked about how great Johnny Depp, Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom were in it, but they weren't even in it. It was just a bunch of large-breasted women having sex. Worst family movie night ever. Edit having Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth had me thinking the world was going to end. Time has proven while the charts and data it presented were indeed a crock of shit. When the rich stop buying beachfront property I'll start getting worried. Where the Wild Things Are was so preachy and pretentious I couldn't make it through the whole thing. Not even the refreshing taste of low-calorie sugar-free Pepsi Max I was drinking while I watched could soothe my anger. Mad Max Fury Road. I spent the entire 2 hours in the cinema wondering when will that stupid desert car chase end and the actual movie begin. It never did. The music was great though, I'll give it that. Moonlight. I was really looking forward to it. Especially Mahershala Ali's performance. His character simply disappears? And the main character's story reminded me of the American Dad bit Oscar Gold. Interstellar. It's hailed for its scientific accuracy but Timo it's just dumb. Why do they go down to that black hole planet when it should be clear that the beacon thing won't work there as intended? Sucker Punch. Everybody liked it in my school. I couldn't believe how dumb it was. Worse, everyone thought I didn't understand the very basic thing of her dancing but fighting in her mind. Jojo Rabbit 2019. Know your shit when you want to make a comedy about National Socialism and don't pretend as if indoctrination, trauma and anti-Semitism can be destroyed by hugging and dancing. Do the right thing. People acted like it was this revolutionary movie saying things they've never heard anyone say before. I didn't get it. Do people not talk about race where you live? All of the Now You See Me movies are absolute shite. Especially that fucking scene where they are flicking the CGI card between one another for no fucking reason. My god, it's crap. Once upon a time Hollywood is just self-insert fanfiction and it would have been ruthlessly mocked for its masturbatory self-indulgence if it weren't directed by Tarantino. Slumdog Millionaire is one of the worst things I've seen. Absolute trash. This may be far from critically acclaimed, but the Elvis movie was such a jumbled mess of fast cuts. I couldn't even finish it. Felt like watching an incredibly long montage. Birdman. I've called it the world's best student film, and I didn't mean that as a compliment. For me, it's The Big Lebowski. Watched it once, thought nothing about it, forgot about it. Is it entertaining? Kind of. But I don't get all the hype of it being a classic. Children of Men. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I see people raving about it. I just find so much of it to be goofy that I can't take it seriously at all. Orson Welles anything. I realize it was a different era, but yawn. Also 2001 A Space Odyssey. Yeah, there are some iconic scenes, but it just drags on forever. Cloud Atlas. It was an interesting concept but it just kept going. I thought it was going to end at least 3 different times and was like, how can there be more? 2001 A Space Odyssey has an absolutely impenetrable plot and pacing so glacial that it took me multiple attempts to watch it because I kept on falling asleep. If Forrest Gump didn't beat you over the head with the fact that it's an allegory for an 8th grade history course the plot would be completely ridiculous. Gene Dealman, 23K Do Commerce, 1080 Bruxelles, the film that topped the most recent Famous Sight and Sound Greatest Films of All Time critics poll. Can we all agree that Oppenheimer was kinda boring as fuck? Great story but I would have gotten the same from a well-made documentary. Super overhyped. Requiem for a Dream. No character development, no time to buy and just shock value cliche look into addiction. I hated every minute of that movie. Marriage Story was talked about like it was a masterpiece, it was boring as hell. And I'm normally a huge fan of movies where nothing happens. Fight Club. The entire thing was faux deep bullcrap. The big twist was dumb. It was trying for edgy commentary or something and was just drab. Forrest Gump. I spent most of 1994-95 wondering if I saw the same movie that everyone else did because the one I watched is a crock of shit. Fifth Element. What a mishmash of things for no reason. I can't even tell you the plot or how it ended. They chased a girl, that was it. Armageddon was just so stupid. It was so unbelievably stupid, and the stupidness took away anything that it had going for it. Science. I want aliens that blow shit up, and actors that at least pretend to care. All of Shyamalan's are like this to me. Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks is a fantastic actor, but that flick just comes across as a right-wing nutjob's wet dream. Titanic. But at least I know that I love my wife because I did not kill myself after she wanted to watch it again. Gonna say it. The Godfather. I can do as far as halfway through the first movie before I am snoring with boredom. House of Gucci is a heaping pile of garbage. Jared Leto's Luigi impression was hilarious and Gaga cannot act. Avatar. I feel like it was made to be a visual orgasm rather than a decent film. I think the story was subpar. Robert Altman's The Play are way too confusing to remember who was playing themselves versus playing a character. Vertigo is my least favorite Hitchcock, by far. I'm always shocked when it ranks high on best of lists. Oh brother, where art thou? What a stupid idea for an Odyssey makeover. And the music is terrible. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was just a boring slog with a big finale that ultimately led to nothing. Midsummer, was bored from start to finish, kept waiting for the big payoff, but it never happened.